Hello everybody and welcome to this Awesomenauts beta analysis video with yours truly, SlowWolf. A new beta came out, 2.11.2. There are a couple of pieces of important information, but the biggest facet of this particular beta was to focus on Rocco, and focus they did. He's taken some nerfs. The general changes, and all the changes by the way, you can follow. I'm putting the link in the description below. If it's not there, shout at me and I'll put it there. But the general changes are all just polished stuff. I'm just going to skip over it because there's no real need to look at it. There's nothing necessarily super interesting about it. Rocco. He took a damage nerf, and he also took a slight chase nerf, because he had a pretty ridiculous chasing ability before. And coupled with the damage nerf, it makes him far more vulnerable and far less ridiculous. So that's a good thing, I would argue. Vengeance, base slow, and rapid arrows reduced from 20 to 15%. That 5% change is actually pretty significant, I find. I've found that if I miss even like once, or maybe even twice, people can tend to escape me if they're quick enough. So Frog, Leon, Penny, anybody like that can tend to escape me. Anybody with high acceleration in particular has a good time just dodge. If they dodge one arrow, it's done. Volpe bowstring now states the stats of both rapid arrows as well as precision shot. Woo, good. Descriptions do what they do. If they don't, then that's a problem. So it's good that they're doing what they're supposed to. Volpe bowstring on slow and rapid arrows reduced from 7 to 4% per stage for a total of a 14 to an 8% change. So that's a pretty impressive amount of percent. All told, it's an 11% slow reduction on the left click when you're using Vengeance. That's good. You go up to, let's see, 15% plus another 8% means that you're doing 23% slow off your left click now at full upgrades, which is like, that's good. That's what you want, but it's not the ridiculous 34% that it was before. So, good changes as far as I'm concerned. SWC and coin split arrows now have reduced damage to 50% of normal damage. Thank freaking heck, because that was ridiculous, the fact that those were dealing full damage. You couldn't dodge them really if you were, like, if they were shot at you, there was no way to dodge it. It's like there's just this wave of pain, and now it's a lot less pain, so that's good. Rocket Pack second stage now works, and the range reduced to 20% per stage. That's still a 40% increase on range, so if you're looking for range on left click, then whoop-de-doo, you still have something that does a pretty decent job of it. In fact, you can sit outside of tower range, but still pummel the tower, so you can kind of safely siege towers that way. The precision arrow with Johnny upgrade is now visible on the map. Bug fix. Nicotine patches fix some typos. Typing fix. Turning Vengeance on will now unstealth Rocco, keeping consistency with everything else. Quick draw bow will not fly through turrets anymore. Quick draw bow will now only shoot one arrow, and quick draw bow attack speed reduced from 120 to 60%. Or, well, just 60. That's not percentages, sorry. So, quick draw bow is the damage upgrade on Vengeance. It was actually a pretty significant amount of damage before because it had 2 arrows that attacked practically twice a second. It was pretty bananas. But, not only that, but they also homed. It was kind of like having missiles on, like dual missiles on Lone Star before, and at a ridiculous rate. Now, it not only lost the missile having its damage, but on top of that, the attack speed was cut in half. So, this is a significant damage nerf on Vengeance, which is fine. I find that Vengeance is supposed to be designed for mobility and designed for utility, not for damage. The damage comes from his other 2 abilities. So having this upgrade be nerfed, so that way it's kind of like, okay, it's nice to have, but it's not like, oh my god, ridiculous. That's good. As far as that's a good change. Genji's Cocoon will now shut down Vengeance when it's active, keeping in line with other abilities like Explode and Bindings and everything else under the sun. Yay. Space Air Max on Rocco will now increase his jump height by 40%. Woo! Call them a different name though, because all of a sudden it's not Space Air Max, it's like Chuck Taylor's, or like, I don't know, Rocco Nike or something. I come up with something, but you know, put some comments in the section. I don't know. Cutlet Fishy Ghillie Suit range reduced from 8 to 7. Cutlet Frills Ghillie Suit second stage now works correctly, and Cutlet Frills Ghillie Suit now only activates on targets in sight. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what that ability is, but yay, it sounds like all of it is bug fixes with a slight range reduction, so not much has changed to Cutlet Frills Ghillie Suit. Good for it. Killing someone with quick draw bow arrows will now show the appropriate icon. Yay, bug fix. Base damage of rapid arrows reduced from 55 to 45. This is good. Per arrow, that means that you're dealing 10 less damage for a total of 20 less damage per arrow that you're shooting. this is a really significant damage nerf, all things considered. You were going from doing 110 to doing 90. Yeah, like doing 90 damage. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. 110 to 90 damage. I don't know how that worked out. But that's a 20 damage. Yeah, no, this works. Yeah, that's good. Math in my head, I'm bad at it. We managed to like do a 20 damage nerf that way, and that's far better. It's still really good. Like a 90 damage left click at the speed that it goes at base is pretty ridiculously good. Just be thankful that you can't get an attack speed upgrade. Increase the size of the visual showing where you're aiming with precision shot on the minimap. Now, this doesn't sound particularly ridiculous on paper, but when you actually put it in the game, it's really significant as far as changes go. It's really cool. Like, anybody can aim that arrow now. I'm not saying it's going to be easy to land them all the time, but now you can actually aim them. Before, you kind of had to like use visual spatial recognition and kind of go, okay, so I think that this will go this distance this way. Sure. Now you see very clearly where your arrow is going on that minimap. You're going to be staring at that minimap like you would not believe as Rocco, and it's good to actually have something that shows you where you're going. So, quality of life change in the positive for that character. Clunk. Casting bar and explode now only shows when actually buying the skill. Yay. Coco. Fixed an issue and changed the thing with her achievement. No big deal. Genji. Here we go. You can now move while you cast Monarch Blessing. Additionally, you won't drop while casting it during flight. This makes Monarch Blessing much safer and easier to use. It means that you don't have to suddenly just stop to use it. It means that, like, getting out of the hood, his speed upgrade on Monarch's Blessing is going to be ridiculous. Really good compared to, like, say, Vinny and Spike's movement speed upgrade on his Cloud. Like, Vinny and Spike has to stop to do Cloud. Genji doesn't have to do that anymore for Monarch Blessing. So it's good. It's a really good quality of life change, and I think that a lot of Genji players will really notice the change for the better. It's going to be one of those things where it's like you use it and it feels so comfortable that you're just like, how did it feel any other way before? And the answer is yes. It felt like shit before, but now it's pretty good. Nah, fixed an issue. Next, Lone Star. He got a number of changes. He's had slightly increased movement speed. His incendiary bombs now deal an additional 47% damage per stage, which is a lot. Trinamite now increases the damage of your dynamite throw by 30 per stage, 2 stages, for a total of 60 damage per dynamite stick. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. It's just a damage increase now instead of adding another stick. So what happened to that extra stick? Dynamite throw now starts with 3 sticks of dynamite. With the base damage now being 140 instead of 175. So let's go ahead and do the math here for a minute. Dynamite now is Trinamite. Just from the beginning, there are 3 sticks. Good for it. Instead of doing 175 per stage, which will end up to a total of 360 damage, or no, 350 damage. Yep, there we go. 350 damage if you landed the full Dynamite combo. You now have 3 sticks that do 140. For a total of 140, 280, and 420. 420 damage if you land all 3 sticks. So it's a damage buff at base. On top of that, the you can get the Trinamite increase per stage. Each stage is 135 solar, and increases your damage by 30, 60, 90. I believe. Unless if it's 10 per stick of dynamite. But if it's 30 per stick of dynamite, that's 90 damage per increase. And I think that feels about right. So you're going from 420 to 510 to 600 damage dynamites. That is a massive boost in terms of his damage. Couple that with the incendiary bombs damage, where now you get another 300 on top of that. You're doing 910 damage by face miting people with Trinamite. Burning Trinamite now does 910 damage. No, just 900 damage. Like, that's a lot. That is a scary amount, all things considered. So I expect that to get nerfed. Caliber Rebooter cooldown reduction increased from 1.5 to 2.5 seconds. In case you needed more bull spam. I don't necessarily agree with that change, but okay. Blaster damage increased from 50 to 60. Bovinian Postcard cooldown reduction increased from 0.1 to 0.15 per hit. And Mr. TNT combined the 2 stages into 1 stage for 145 solar. So a lot of this is just making Lone Star kind of catch up to the rest of the cast. Lone Star had been lagging behind pretty badly due to the inherent power creep in the game, and this is kind of bringing him up to par. Now I find that the Trinamite change is pretty bananas. It's really good, and it's maybe even a bit too good. I'm not totally sold on it. But the blaster damage was kind of needed. Bovinium Postcard was useless before. It's useless. And now it's actually going to look like, okay, it might be slightly more useful. And Mr. TNT combining the two stages into one stage for 145 solar just makes Lone Star's life a bit easier. But his life was already pretty easy as far as farm went, and with the increased damage to Dynamite, this is not the big thing on his list. That Dynamite change is something I'm scared about. Nibs, bug fix. Scoop, here's important. Hammer Justice cooldown increased from 6.5 to 7.5 seconds, so an increase of 1 second to his hammer. And on top of that, the cooldown reduction upgrade was nerfed by 0.25 for a total of 0.5 seconds. You still have to like wait. So it means that spam hammer isn't going to be as ridiculous as before. It should be approximately it should go up to being a 4.5 to 5 second cooldown now, instead of being the 3 second cooldown that it is in the current live version of Awesomenauts. And a 3 second cooldown on hammer, we all know, bananas. But this does, like, effectively adding another 2 seconds to that cooldown means that spam hammer isn't going to be as ridiculous. It'll still be good, I think, but it'll actually open up the floor to picking up other upgrades as you need them. Skoldir fixed an issue. Next. Ted fixed an issue. Next. Vinny, Clown Mask now works with Giant Mammoth Sock with holes. Issue fixed. Next. Voltar, he took some changes. Healbot health reduced from 300 to 200. This makes sure that his healbot has to be timed properly at the beginning of the match and throughout the entire game, really as a whole. If you mistime it, it will go away. It will go down to dash, it will go down to dynamite, it will go down to practically anything now. So you have to be careful when you use your healbot, and I think that that's a good thing to add a little bit more skill to the character and make it so that way it's not just like, oh, I tried to go in on it, but I barely just didn't kill that healbot at level 1. So even though the Voltar played badly, I get punished for it. Oops. Drone Army price reduced from 180 to 160. Dark Matter Shots price reduced. Weapon Clip-On price reduced. Hyperdrive price reduced. Weaponized Hull price reduced. Warp Gate Overdrive price reduced. Energy Drink price reduced. Overheal Potion price reduced. Turret Add-On price reduced. Hydraulic Sugar Dispenser price reduced. Cortex Tank price reduced. Bombshell price reduced. Bombshell duration increased. That's again another buff. Happy Thoughts price reduced. Psychokinetic Repulsion price reduced. Psycho Thrust price reduced. Chili Flavored Eye Drops price reduced. Chili Flavored Eye Drops activation time reduced from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. Chili Flavored Eye Drops heal multiplier increased from 4 to 5. Chili Flavored Eye Drops damage multiplier increased from 2 to 4. Chili Flavored Eye Drops heal over time multiplier increased from 2 to 3. Twisted Nightmares price reduced from 150 to 135. Euphoric Thoughts price reduced. Killing the heal pod before it can finish charging now plays a different death animation. Okay. Nerf to Healbot in terms of its HP. Buff across the board. So Voltar is going to feel a lot cheaper and a lot easier to play now. With a little bit of money, you can actually go much farther with his build, which is a good thing. A lot of Voltar players have been complaining that they just can't get the farm that they need anymore because of the changes to his left click. Fine, so why can't you get damage like everybody else? Because his damage is a little bit weird. Yes, you can left click, but it does a small amount. It's the weakest left click in the game. And yes, you can use your drones to get last hits, but last hits can be hard to land sometimes. And even then, sometimes you just don't have the time to just sit there and time your drones. Sometimes there's stuff in the way. There's things to heal, there's things to explode that is not a drone. You're not always getting the solar you need. So having these price reductions, I think, was a good idea, although this many of them might see a pretty huge increase in the number of Voltar players. And then that final change, I really like, the one where the heal pod dying before it finishes now plays a different death animation, means that you can actually see if you successfully killed off the heal pod before it went off. That's an important piece of information that I want to know a bit better, because in the cluster munch that is Awesomenauts, sometimes it's hard to see that shit when you're in a brawl. So the fact that it is different now when it dies is a good thing. Okay. Now, there is one more thing in the beta that is relatively important that I've been reading up on. Apparently, Baby Curry Mammoth now deals with, like, because of, like, the first beta, it was in the first beta, Baby Curry Mammoth now reduces the effect of time slowdown upgrades and abilities, like Yuri's Bubble or Raylan's Time Rift. And I think that this is a good thing. I think that having it so that way there's an actual answer to those abilities for certain characters is important. So that way you can't just toss out a Time Rift and then laugh as Clunk just flails helplessly about. Having a baby Curry Mammoth available for those characters so that way they actually have an answer to those abilities is a good thing. Now, this does come at a price, however. Baby Curry Mammoth only currently costs like 110 solar per level, up to a maximum of 50% reduction on practically everything. It's a decent upgrade in a lot of situations now because of that. Like, I saw it picked up in pro play because of silence, because of knockback, and all those other things. It's really put Skoldir on a backbench as well. Having it do this to Time Rift as well, however, means that it probably needs a slight price increase, so that way it isn't just a catch-all, okay, screw everybody and all their CC, I don't care about it anymore. Make it an investment, I would think, and that would be okay. So that's it for this beta analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.